Ryan, we're back again. How are you doing today?
Oh my goodness, it's Steve.
Stunning Steve, Rugged Ryan.
I'm great.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
This is something that we hear from people all over the world, mostly guys. I think our viewership's 100% male. But is there any ideas you have about what we can do about that?
That's why I got into this business, so I could have a bunch of male fans.
Yeah, but you know, this is.
But I can't take any more buttons down.
No.
So I guess.
Well, maybe I will as the show goes on. Something to.
If that doesn't keep them here.
Well, Ryan, you don't even know where we're going right now.
I never do.
Yeah. So we're heading back to the magical time.
I was wondering if I was going to be invited back. What is this?
May of 1991. We've got the WWF Magazine. This isn't in great shape, so I'm going to have to remove this.
What did you do to this thing?
Well, the years have not been kind, apparently.
Who did this?
But May of 1991, great picture of The Undertaker. He's in a cemetery. Grave tasks ahead. Ryan, you understand some grave tasks ahead in your own life.
Don't start that. Let's start on a positive note. I was just thinking about this magazine, looking at it.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Was there some kind of like centerfold of Elizabeth in this? I mean, you tore this thing apart.
I just sometimes
it was 91. Let me give Steve a break. It was 91.
Things don't hold up. What does this say up here in the corner? Earthquake grumbles and Valentine hammers his point home.
So, Greg Valentine?
I would think.
Earthquake and Greg Valentine. Let me see if I can think of that feud.
Yeah.
I can't think of it.
Okay. And I'm always excited to see this, the merchandise catalog. We always love to see the merchandise catalog.
We do. I'd like to hear some of your picks today.
So I'm going to take this cover off for a second once we see what's on the other side. And we have Hogan with the right guard commercials.
How much money was rolling in for Hogan around this time? This was like one of his signature, this was like the cover of Mr. Nanny also.
Well, look,
like
right here,
face
Suburban Commando, an inside look at the Hulkster's new movie. Hulk Hogan maybe, with the right guard in the movies, maybe he's thinking about life after the ring.
Bringing it in. He's looking lean. This is a lean Hogan, too.
It certainly looks that way. Yeah. Now, you didn't use deodorant for many years.
I want to say we grew up together. We can say that, right? We can talk about that. We grew up together.
If that's what you want to call it.
And I want to say this guy, he smartened me up to a lot of things. I want to say deodorant was one of them. I think you told me about deodorant. But what age did you tell me?
Well, you got to... Well, guys get to a certain age with their hormones and everything, and you're playing sports, and you're active, and you start to stink a little bit. And it's like you didn't know about it. No one had told you about deodorant.
No one had told me about it.
Yeah. Why is that?
Don't you think social services should be called, if you're like 16 years old and you still haven't found out about it, and no one in your household has told you about deodorant?
Someone should say something. Someone should say something. But then once you found out about it, you were using women's deodorant.
I'm still using women's deodorant.
And what is the reasoning behind that? To refresh my memory.
The men's deodorant mixes with the body odor and kind of creates more body odor from my experience. It's a real musky smell. I don't care for it, and my wife doesn't care for it.
Interesting.
So I like the way the ladies' powder deodorant smells on me. It keeps me fresher. I guess.
Well, shifting gears ever so slightly. I'm not a big Greg Valentine fan, but that's a great figure. One of the short amount of time when he's in rhythm and blues with the black hair.
I dig it. So is that the Greg Valentine that's having problems with? Are we dealing with like what earthquake in the?
Well, I can't imagine.
I don't know which earthquake.
I can't imagine this Greg Valentine with the rhythm and blues would be feuding with Earthquake, but I don't know.
Dude, that is an expensive. Don't you think that's kind of expensive for a video game in 1991 for a WrestleMania challenge? $44.99.
Video games now are what, 60, 70 bucks?
Yeah, but this is 1991, and that game sucked.
You remember playing it?
Yeah, I remember playing that thing. It wasn't as good. The one before that, the WrestleMania before that, was the one that had like Bam Bam Bigelow would do the cartwheels and and the guitars would go to the bottom of the screen. But
Bam Bam Bigelow?
But I don't think that was in
Bigelow
the Bam Bam
didn't have anything
matches.
to do with the guitars.
That must have been
Honky Tonk Man, maybe.
I was going to say the Rhythm and Blues Greg Valentine matches.
Well, probably Honky Tonk Man. Now, you're a big fan of Christopher Lloyd, and I know you're a big fan of Hulk Hogan. And I think you're borderline on Shelley Duvall. So when you see this poster, does this do anything for you?
I make this face to everything you just said.
You saw Suburban Commando, though, right?
Many times. Have you seen it?
Long time ago.
I've seen it many times.
You like it? Is that a fun one?
It is. That's still something. We do another show that's the Steve-O Supremo movie marathon, and Hulk Hogan movies. I always thought would be a fun Steve-O Supremo movie marathon.
Yeah, maybe.
Get together some Hulk Hogan movies.
Yeah, so you'd have that, Mr. Nanny, and
Santa with Muscles.
That one he did with Carl Weathers and Shannon Tweed. What was that
Shadow Warriors.
Shadow Warriors, yeah.
Yeah. We're leaving out a big one. No Holds Barred.
Three Ninjas.
Three Ninjas.
Oh, yeah, No Holds Barred.
Yeah. That's probably enough. 6, 7 probably enough.
If someone was going to ask you...
I'll fall asleep.
By just looking at this, Hulk Hogan is... How would you describe this in a sentence or two? What's going on here? Hulk Hogan's got his finger up and he's supporting a skateboard.
Well, for me, looking at this, I would say that I would go see that faster than anything I would have that came out in 2019 in the theater.
But why is he dressed like this?
Well, he's he's an alien.
Okay.
Is he an alien?
I don't remember much about it. Undertaker's in it.
I've seen it many times.
Undertaker's in it. But like before he's the Undertaker.
That story is more about kind of Hulk Hogan coming to town and bringing that family together.
I see.
Hulk Hogan has problems, but that family also has problems. They can help each other solve each other's problems in a very odd circumstances.
Christopher Lloyd, of course, in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's also in Dream Team.
And Shelley Duvall, of course, in The Shining.
The Shining.
And Popeye.
Suburban Commando, kind of a different term for her. Yeah. I never liked Robin Williams. I can't look at it.
Robin Williams wasn't in Suburban Commando.
Popeye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Introducing Paul Bearer's Funeral Parlor.
I don't want to tell you what I was just thinking, but you turned this page and we were talking about Robin Williams, and I was thinking to myself, and I don't want to be graphic, because sometimes I think graphically, but in the best way of speaking for the show, I was thinking about how much I'd rather do sexual acts with Paul Bearer than I would Robin Williams. Because that's how much I don't like Robin Williams. Is that odd that my brain would go there?
A little
it was when the Paul Bear picture popped up, I thought that.
What
it was very specific, but I don't want to go into it.
What do you find so off-putting about Robin Williams?
I've always thought...
This episode is so off the rails early.
Already? Okay. I'm not... No. Just keep it going. We don't do that.
What do you find so off-putting about Robin Williams? I don't understand it.
I don't find him funny, but it's something also about his aura that was always off to me. It was something about looking at him kind of made me feel bad.
Well, speaking of people that I look at and make me feel bad,
now that's a good segue.
I was going to say, if I had to make a list of my top 5 least favorite pro wrestlers of all time, I think Greg Valentine might be in there.
If I could get you a shirt, it would have that on it. I mean, that is a good wrestling T-shirt. Maybe the picture of him too. Maybe both things.
But in the action figure, a couple pages back, he's got the dark hair and is with Rhythm and Blues, and now here he is, just with the same old Greg Valentine look and everything else.
Now, is this the one that Earthquake has a problem with?
Apparently so.
Is it because he has Greg in cursive written on his trunks? Is Earthquake upset that that's even on television?
Yeah, maybe he is. I think I would put Greg Valentine in my top 5 or bottom 5 least favorites.
Maybe Earthquake thought he should have gotten the personality profile over Greg.
Let's see. Greg Valentine, just off the top of least favorites. John Cena would be in there. Big Show, I think, would be in there. Arn Anderson might even be in there.
Oh, come on.
I know you like Arn Anderson. But
the Enforcer?
One of my least favorites of all time. Here's one of my favorites of all time. The Hot Scott Roddy Piper. A talk with.
I'm going to say, I got one for you. Since you brought up AA, one of my all-time favorites in this, I'm going to throw Roddy Piper under the bus and say, top 5 most overrated. Overrated, I'm saying. Top 5 most overrated.
Roddy Piper was a big star and drew a lot of money and was a big star in wrestling.
I think...
What's not to like?
I think that he had a very short run where he was a big star, and then people tried to rely on him to draw money in the future, and it didn't work.
I think Roddy Piper is one of the greatest of all time.
I think without Hogan, Piper didn't have anywhere to go, really.
Piper could talk.
To do.
Piper could talk. Arn Anderson couldn't talk very well.
He could talk, but who was listening?
I was listening.
Now, Arn could work in the ring, and he didn't need to talk. You know why? Because he surrounded himself with the Nature Boy.
And the fans loved it, all 3 of them.
That's true. As long as the fans love it.
Now, we've talked about this in past episodes. Whenever you've got a personality profile like this or an interview, and someone's hitting a couple different poses, and you've always said, does the photographer tell them what poses, or does the talent just kind of go crazy? And what would your poses be? Like if you, present day.
Do I hit you with like 4 poses right now?
Give me 2 or 3 poses right now.
2 or 3
that
poses?
We'd see for the Ryan Young an interview with.
Okay, here we go. All right.
Okay. Okay. So your persona is some kind of deranged hacksaw Jim Duggan.
That's it. Deranged.
You're doing the hacksaw Jim Duggan hoe. Yeah.
I've been doing that to a lot of people lately, and I've been getting a big response from it. Just like the other day, I was riding
the hoe. Do they give you the hacksaw Jim Duggan?
I didn't do the hoe. It's more of a. I'm not a Jim Duggan type. Anyway, I'm riding down the highway.
Sometimes you do get a little apprehensive.
Very rarely these days. I'm riding down the highway, and there's this drag car going, right? And he's going real slow in the left-hand lane, but he's got advertisers on it's like a NASCAR, but it's on the highway.
Advertisements or advertisers on the side?
Advertisements on the side of the car.
Okay. So people, ad men are not on the side of the car, is what you're saying. They're advertisements.
Advertisements on the side of the car,
Got
right?
it. Okay, I was a little confused about that.
And he's going slow in the left-hand lane. Like going like 40 in the left-hand lane.
Mr. Perfect.
But I'm not mad about it. It's a nice Sunday. I'm on a Sunday drive myself.
Yeah, Jimmy
So
Snuka.
I drive up beside him, and I look over at his car, and I really did like it. And I usually don't care much about cars. I laid a big thumbs up and a smile on him, and he was so excited, gave me like the biggest wave.
How old was the car?
I don't know what
Was
year.
it like a classic
I'm gonna
car?
say like 70s, something like that. But it was like it was like souped up to be like a race car.
It's been my experience that, and I'm not a classic car kind of person, but it's been my experience that if someone's out driving in a souped up kind of old school kind of car, they want attention and they want somebody to say, "Wow, cool car, thumbs up." They're looking for that.
That's true. And I laid it on him.
He was probably thrilled.
I made his day, I think, and he made mine.
Battle of the Titans, Intercontinental Champion Mr. Perfect's altercation with Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Now this was around the time where Jimmy Snuka's hair grew out and his trunks got longer. Were you a fan of that look?
Boy, he just looks like he was just on steroids. But then Snuka looked jacked right there. Snuka's looking thick.
Well, listen, I'm certainly no bodybuilder. That may come as a surprise to you. But one of the things that I always notice in physiques, you can always kind of tell around the trapezius if something's a little natural or if it's not.
How are you feeling about this?
It looks unnatural. Looks a little unnatural.
That's what I was thinking. Now, do you get excited about a perfect Snuka? What Snuka did you get most excited? Did you ever get excited about Snuka? I didn't. I was never. I liked Perfect. Perfect was decent. Perfect also a little bit overrated, I think. You could put him on that list of people that were overrated. Anyway, Snuka though. Snuka was like nothing.
By the time I came around and was watching wrestling, Snuka's best days were done. They say all the time that like late 70s, early 80s, Jimmy Snuka was over, huge. Now
working with,
like Don Morocco. Remember he jumped off the cage and did the Superfly splash, yeah. And they say he was over like nobody's business. But then by the late 80s, early 90s, he was older and he cooled down. It's kind of like Nikolai Volkov. You always say that Nikolai Volkov was never over, and you make fun of him all the time. But you missed a lot of. You weren't around for a lot of when Nikolai Volkov was like a big deal.
Tommy Rich. I hear a lot about Tommy Rich. Tommy Rich was like a big joke when I was growing up. Steve's right.
You think of the York Foundation.
So
Tommy Rich.
if you're watching this,
that's a great picture.
That is a great picture. If you're watching this and you hear me say something bad about somebody, a wrestler that you like, please don't take offense. Know that I can be ignorant to things, that I don't know everything. I'm not on here stating facts. I'm on here giving opinions, and you can totally agree or disagree, but I just don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to say, this person's bad, and you should think they're bad also. This is totally my opinion about Jimmy Snuka.
That's nice.
I think he's roided up, and I think he's big for nothing.
But much like Roddy Piper, the Roddy Piper that first came on your radar was the Roddy Piper that was like feuding with like Ravishing Rick Rude. And that kind of
Bad News Brown.
You missed a lot of that red hot rod where he was feuding with like Cyndi Lauper and the war to settle the score. You missed a lot of that. I went back and watched a lot of it, but I don't think you did.
I saw it. I wasn't that impressed.
Is this where Goldberg got the Who's Next? You think?
Wow.
Yeah.
Who wrote that?
Undertaker seeks a victory. Probably the Undertaker.
Wow, in Bones.
Yeah.
Man. He's got Tugboat.
Yeah, I like Tugboat.
I have a feeling Undertaker won that match.
If I had to make a guess. Well, you got to think. This is May of 91. This was probably written in March, maybe even February of 91. What a year for The Undertaker, huh? Survivor Series 90, he debuts with Brother Love. Survivor Series 91, beats Hogan for the title. What a year. I mean, you talk about a year. From debut to beating Hogan in a year.
That's true.
It's a big deal.
Now, is that Beefcake?
I don't think so.
That looks like Beefcake, doesn't it?
Not to me.
No.
I don't ever remember Beefcake wearing trunks like that or looking like that, so I'm going to say no. If I had to make a guess.
That's the same hair, though.
I'm going to ask you a trivia question here.
Yes.
Test Ryan's trivia.
Oh, not me.
Where did the 1991 Royal Rumble take place?
I don't do those.
That's incorrect.
I don't do those. I don't do. That's your thing. Always has been. You always remember the arenas.
All right. Where do Demolition hail from?
Parts unknown.
Okay, that's right. I'll give you one more. An entire team survived its match at the last Survivor Series, a WWF first. What was the name of the team?
I remember that. I think it was. Tell me if I'm right about this before I go any further. It was Rick Martel's team, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it was the.
You're almost there.
I don't know.
The Visionaries.
The Visionaries. Oh, because they blinded Jake Roberts. I was trying to think of arrogance. Yeah. I was trying to think of all kinds of things.
Yes.
I was close to. I have it all over.
I'll give you half a point on that.
Thank you.
There's the new merchandise catalog. I'm always interested by marketing, and look who's first, Warrior, ahead of Hogan.
Okay.
Like a subconscious little thing of like, hey, this is... Obviously, Hogan is still featured.
But for you, it's not subconscious. It's conscious.
Well, for me, it's subconscious. Someone had to make the decision of Warrior goes first.
Right. But for me, I would look at this and not think of that.
Okay.
But you notice it. When you said subconscious...
I'm interested in that kind of stuff.
No, but that's what I'm saying. For most people, it probably would be subconscious. They'd probably be just looking at this. And in their brain, they'd be like, oh, Warrior's number one now. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, you figure May of 91... Probably written in March, or he's just lost the title to Sergeant Slaughter.
Man, look how he fills out that shirt.
Is that your dream?
I think Jimmy Snuka saw him and said, he's onto something. I'm gonna get some jungle tassels, make some money, get on the front page.
Yep. And look again, Warrior first, Hogan last.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
And Ted DiBiase, lucky to be on there.
Yeah. I had this one.
Yeah.
Is a Ted DiBiase.
This is what I like. I like the shirts.
Which one of these, if you had to wear one of these?
Well, you say I want Jim Duggan because I'm doing all the Jim Duggan poses now.
It's not a bad shirt.
That's not a bad pose with the 2x4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that's not a bad one. I kind of wonder if I would have bought the Kerry Von Erich shirt back then, if maybe he would still be alive.
It's possible.
If a few more people bought those shirts, maybe they didn't have to put Hogan first.
But see, Hogan's first up there. But you like a black shirt. Even though you have...
You know what? I don't like a black shirt as much as I used to. I think when I was younger, I liked the black shirt.
Around. Well, that's called growth.
I like colors.
That's nice.
I love that WWF bag, though.
Isn't that the same bag that Ted DiBiase had full of money when he bought the Sapphire?
That might be why I like it.
No, you know what I'm thinking of? Yeah, they might have done that, but I'm thinking of when Andre the Giant and...
John Studd?
Big John Studd had the body slam match, and they had the bag full of money.
That's what I was
thinking. And Bobby Heenan
of.
had it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Boy, this is a big catalog. They have a lot of merchandise.
Yeah, they sure do.
I like how colorful things were back in the early 90s.
Yeah, there was a lot of neon.
Wait a minute. Which poster's on your wall? Give me the poster.
I don't know. I guess maybe the Legion of Doom one.
Well, I was going to say the Legion of Doom one might be the least gay.
Well,
Because I think if, like, as a kid, like, if you have, like, this picture of Hogan on your wall and, like, your friends come in your room, they're like, and he's all glistened up like that and barely wearing any clothes.
But can't you, even at that young age, can't you appreciate a good physique?
I can. If I come in your room, I wouldn't say such a thing. Okay. But you know how, I mean,
you're saying the parents might have a
Your
have
father
a
probably would have.
Okay.
Your father might have said something.
Okay. Speaking of a great physique, how about that? A larger than life-size poster.
Hey, I saw it recently, the pose down with him and Rick Rude.
Yeah.
What a great physique.
Absolutely.
Remember how disgusting those bars were? Did you ever have one of those?
I did. I didn't think they were disgusting, though.
Oh, really? I thought they were really bad.
Right. Here we go. Suburban Commando.
So did WWF like make this movie, or did like Suburban Commando like get like pay to be in the magazine? Who benefits from what here? How does this happen? Is it Hogan's contract?
I don't know for sure without doing some research, but I would imagine that maybe Vince McMahon is a producer.
Okay.
Or an executive producer of some. I'm going to take a guess. We know No Holds Barred was a WWF production, which was done from the ground up by them.
Yeah.
Now, Suburban Commando, I don't think is that, but I would say that obviously if it's being featured like this in the magazine, they must have some kind of skin in the game.
Did Hogan have like a contract, or he did? I don't know if you know. Did he sign like a 4-picture deal with like a movie studio and say we're going to do like 4 movies with Hulk Hogan, and we're going to rattle off Suburban Commando and Mr. Nanny and whatever, Santa with Muscles?
Right. I don't know how it worked out.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was a deal like that.
I've always said Hogan did really well for a guy who was bald.
As a guy that does really well for being bald.
There's an aesthetic. I don't think anyone can argue this. There's an aesthetic that people... It's the same reason why if you go to like Hooters or something, all the girls at Hooters will have like the same hair. There's something in our subconscious that we react to. And I think that society, human nature has shown a good physique, tall, good hair, people react to that. Now you take, fat, receding hairline, whatever, you lose some notches. And I always think Hogan did really well, and he might have been even a bigger star if he had the full head of hair.
Especially for star.
Yeah.
But like character actors can be kind of anything.
But he's the star of this.
But that's what I'm saying. To be a star, you have to check these. It seems like usually you have to check these boxes.
Right. So Hulk Hogan in this movie is not a real human being. Is that the premise?
I'm not that big of a fan of Christopher Lloyd, by the way.
You love that movie with Michael Keaton and Christopher Lloyd.
The Dream Team.
Uh-huh.
But he was being a real dick in that, and I think that's kind of how he is in. And I don't know if that's how he is in real life. That's how he is in most movies, and I don't always like that. It's too much of it.
You stayed at the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City.
He's real uptight.
Which is now the Hard Rock. You spent a lot of time in Atlantic City.
I have.
Yeah.
I love Atlantic City.
The WBF Championship was there.
I would like to. You know what I want to do in Atlantic City? WBF. That sounded like it'd been fun back in the day. I don't know if that's really a thing anymore. I'm sure there's bodybuilding. No, but I'm sure there's bodybuilding and stuff. But I don't know.
It's like amateur wrestling. Nobody cares.
I've never exactly boxing match in Atlantic City. I'd love to go to a live boxing match in Atlantic City.
If it's a big name, those tickets are going to be really high.
It doesn't even have to be a big name. I don't really care that much about boxing. I just think that would be a fun event to be in.
Because of Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage. When he's at the boxing match in Atlantic City. That's what it all comes back to.
I can't deny that that has to do with Snake Eyes.
No. I've read your file. I'm like the big boss man in Nails. I've read your file. One step too far. Does the boss man and Mountie clash over meaning of justice mean anything to you?
Man, with Boss Man's character, like being like in law enforcement, that opened up a huge avenue of like storylines for him to have like beefs with people and stuff. He was always involved in like really good storylines. I thought.
I like that idea of the loser having to spend a night in jail. That's a great idea.
It was great. That was a fun SummerSlam, and the Mountie, the guy that played the Mountie, did a great job of like selling all that, and like the whole night long.
Jacques Rougeau.
Jacques Rougeau.
Yeah.
He was a real fun character. I'm surprised more never got done with him. But I really like that Mountie character. I always liked the Quebecers. I always thought he was good.
Yeah. Calculation versus chaos. Can careful planning defeat pandemonium? Power and Glory apparently having a problem with the Bushwhackers.
Why is there... Oh, calculation. I thought Hercules now had a new gimmick where he was using a calculator. I thought they were doing like Power and Glory was a mathematician or something.
That's the York Foundation.
Yeah, I didn't think that had anything to do with Power and Glory.
Yeah.
Paul Roma and Hercules were both guys that always had a lot of chances to do something in wrestling, and I thought they just failed at it every single time.
Wow. Well, you met the Bushwhackers. You hung out with them one night.
I didn't, but not the Bushwhackers. The Bushwhackers, they did one thing that I remember. And they took it, and
what was
they made
the one
an entire
thing?
career
What
out
was
of
the
it.
one thing?
The Bushwhackers.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying they
I
made
thought you
an
meant the
entire,
battering ram.
No. I'm saying they took an entire career, and they were the Bushwhackers, and they were able to make money doing that. And I'm gonna tell you something. I've been to live shows where the Bushwhackers were there, and that was a fun time for a live crowd. When the Bushwhackers came out with that music and doing those dances and stuff,
Dances?
it was a blast.
That's the strut. It's the Bushwhacker boogie. That's not a dance. That's the okay.
What is it? Is it multiple arms or is it? Oh no, it's like
back
this.
there. Now
it's
you've
been all,
got
no,
it.
it's like that.
Now you've got it.
It's a good beat though. It's like a dance.
The Dragon Star rises. Noted in Chinese legend, the dragon is a creature of immense power with heavenly attributes.
Here we go.
I guess they're saying that Ricky Steamboat is a dragon.
What a rainy day. Unbelievable.
The dragon or Ricky Steamboat himself?
How do you even make a dragon boring? I mean, like, it's impossible. It must be impossible to be Ricky Steamboat. Another guy, he must have had this good runs. I think Ric Flair liked him, and that was it. He could work. He could work a little.
Again, the Ricky Steamboat run of the late 80s in the NWA, I don't think you saw a lot of.
I can only judge what I've seen. And what I've seen is pure crap. I mean, just
Okay.
absolute ridiculousness.
But if a Ric Flair, who's one of the best of all time, says that this guy is one of the best of all times, that's got to carry some weight, doesn't it? And he always says how great Ricky Steamboat was.
I will say this, that probably for some people in the time period, they probably thought, man, Ricky Steamboat, good-looking guy, family man, I really want him to win the championship. This immoral Ric Flair, he's got to do something about it. I get that there might be a story there.
Yeah.
For me, for me, I just wanted Ric Flair to kick his ass and take his wife.
Even as a young kid.
And just, even 6 years old, I just wanted
You've
him
always
to
been about selling out.
smack around.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I always understood it.
If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. That's
Because
always been your motto.
One of the first songs I ever remember hearing as a child was $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase's theme song. And in the song it says, everybody has a price. And I was thinking, that's true. And I was thinking
some might cost a little, some might cost a lot.
And it turns out, I cost a little.
That's what always concerns me, because I know that if I ever run for Congress or anything one day, if the National Enquirer gets you on the phone,
know everything.
You're going to sell everything out as quick as possible.
I know more about you than I do Ricky Steamboat, so look a lot, and I got a lot of bad stuff to say about Ricky Steamboat.
WWF looks strong at Toy Fair 91. It looks like they brought Tito Santana in. I know you've always had your problems with Tito Santana.
I think mostly I didn't like Tito because Bobby the Brain Heenan,
yes,
didn't like Chico Santana.
Wow, they set up a ring at the Toy Fair. That's kind of neat.
They had a match.
Yeah. Oh boy, I bet Andre the Giant loved this. At the Toy Fair, signing some autographs. He looks miserable.
I was going to say, is that sarcasm?
Well, he's got to be hurting right now. What is this?
Do you think he ever held up one of those pictures and said, I look fat in this?
I don't think so. Is this what I look like on the airplane?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know how you got that coat either.
Ryan and I were on an airplane one time, and I had a blazer on and a button-up shirt like this, and I was sitting in a really small seat. We were in coach. We fly coach.
We can admit it. We fly coach.
And I
watch the show. We'll fly first class.
I had an outfit kind of similar to this, and you said we had a good laugh on the airplane because you said I look like Andre the Giant traveling to Japan.
You're huge. It's amazing. We were sitting in 3 seats. I'm sitting in this by the window. Steve's in the middle, as he is. And then there's a little Asian guy, and he's on the outside. Can I say that, or is that racist? Little Asian guy?
He was an Asian gentleman.
He was a little Asian guy.
He was small.
And, okay, so I don't know if you can... My legs. Steve is not like a fat guy, but he has enormous legs. He was poured into the seat. And as little as my legs are, this Asian man on the edge, his feet weren't even touching, and his legs were like half the size of mine, and they were going like this. It was like a circus freak show.
And I looked like I was on my way to the Tokyo Dome.
But man, when I was at one point I saw him on that plane. You had long hair then, yeah,
And
exactly.
And my blazer did kind of look like that.
It looked like that,
So,
yeah. And you had like mutton chops. I think you had mutton chops. At least you look like you did.
Yeah, I might have. Okay. Good times. We gotta get on another airplane sometime if the world ever opens up.
Hey, if you let me.
The model has a gripe. Since the advent of bodybuilding lifestyles, Rick Martel has been downright livid. He says that his finely sculpted body deserves to be on there.
Who?
Rick Martel.
About who? Who's he mad about? I went off. Sometimes I go off into daydreams. I went off into a daydream about the Orient Express, I was thinking about Asian men, but then I was thinking about how I almost said a Chinaman, and then someone told me before that a Chinaman, that's racist, and I said, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to be racist, I like the term Chinaman. So I said Asian man. Anyway, I went on a whole thing in my mind about that, and then Steve was doing the bit about Martel, and I had no idea what was happening, and now we're back. So who is it?
Rick Martel says he should be on the cover of Bodybuilding Lifestyles.
Who is on the cover of Bodybuilding Lifestyles?
Probably
like WWF
Superstars.
Well,
this is kind of interesting here. Ultimate Warrior signing autographs at the NCWA convention. Look at this. The Ultimate Warrior is on the advertisement for Slim Jims, and it says "Snap into it."
Uh-oh.
Now, that's kind of interesting because we know that would go to Randy Savage.
I think maybe... Well, Warrior's not around for too much longer consistently after this.
The SummerSlam of this year is his last show for a while, yeah.
So,
do you think that's
a door open for Randy Savage?
I'd love to hear about that because, I mean, look at that. That's Ultimate Warrior, snap into it. I mean, that became Randy Savage's big thing.
I'd like to hear who over at Slim Jim said, I gotta be in the wrestling business. Like, I need to advertise wrestling. Wrestling fans will snap into a Slim Jim.
Story has it, Slim Jim paid for Randy Savage's WCW contract, at least for a year or two.
Wow.
So, they must have loved what Randy Savage was delivering. He did a great job with it, I thought.
High energy guy.
Yeah. Do you prefer the Bulldog with the braids or the shorter
hair? Like him with the braids because it's another gimmick for him. I think that's
Do you like him with the actual dog?
The dog. I like gimmicks. You know what I mean? You see, like right now I got, but I'm always walking around with gimmicks and stuff. I try to clean it up for on air, but
you run the risk of having too much going on. Like they always say, like Diamond Dallas Page back in the mid-'90s, he had the fur coat and the cigar and the sunglasses and the Max Muscle and he had too much going on. So I think it's almost, remember when Jim Duggan would come out with the 2x4 and the crown and the flag if you have too much going on, sometimes I'm a big believer of less is more. Have one thing that's really great instead of 10 things that are okay.
I think it depends on the guy. I think you can have some stuff that's quite a bit that's quite over the top.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think sometimes it's case by case.
Is this what you do at the gym? Shirtless and push down on the.
You can do shirtless at my gym.
Oh, okay.
Nor would I try.
Okay.
I'm getting to the point now. I've never had. Since you mentioned it, yeah. I've never had a good body in my life. Like a really good like body, and I'm getting to the point where these are probably the last years that I'm going to have a chance that it's even possible, without using some kind of like steroids or something. Yeah. So I don't know what my point was. I just wanted to throw it out there that I'd like to have a good body at some point.
Well, you've got to ask yourself: Are you willing to make the trade-off of the more exercise, taking out some of the foods you like? Are you willing to make that trade-off? I mean, it's not like you're on TV. It's not like you're in the ring with no shirt on or anything. It's you having abs and not having abs affects your life like zero.
Zero, and that's the thing when it comes down to, hey Ryan, we're going out to eat tonight. You want to go have a good meal? And I'm like, yep. You know what I mean? Because there's no stakes for me having abs. Exactly. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
But it would be fun, even if it was like 6 months, just to have a rock hard body.
Uh-huh.
You know?
I get it. Everyone I think would like to have the rockin' body, but I just at this point in your life, I'd like to see you also have some fun and not give up the things you love.
That's what I'm about. But I think that I'm so close to it. I feel like if I spent 6 months, little more gym, little less good meals, like far as heavy meals,
right,
I'd have it. I'm that close to it.
Andre the Giant told his former manager, Bobby Heenan, he wanted nothing to do with the Brain when he floored him during a live telecast of primetime wrestling.
What is that, a pile of crap?
Looks like grapes.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Maybe because Andre the Giant's from France.
Oh, he was doing the Lucy bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Look at that outfit that McMahon has on. Isn't that awesome?
Now that's a guy, to our point, who it doesn't matter if he has abs or not, but that doesn't affect him from being in the gym all the time, apparently. He loves it.
That's true.
Yeah. Let me put this back together a little bit here.
What do you got in the back there? Did we see the back yet?
We've got the advertisement.
He's getting there. I was a little impatient.
For World Tour 91.
Did we watch that recently? You own that, don't you?
I have a pretty good collection of old Coliseum videos. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks familiar.
I have some World Tours. I
used to have a nice collection.
And I do have the WWF World Tour luggage tag.
Shut up.
Because when I went to Norway, it was on my my luggage as it went through the airport.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And here's an advertisement for. We were talking a little bit about SummerSlam '91.
Have you ever seen a more lovely couple in your life? The fact that didn't work out and they're both dead is just makes me so sad.
You know what? I was always interested. Who knows how relationships work? I'm certainly not one to say anything about why relationships do or don't. I've had a lot of failed relationships, but when you think of Randy Savage and Elizabeth was kind of quiet and a little demure, and Randy Savage was so wild. But they seemed to like that in each other. Like, wouldn't Elizabeth kind of be like almost? If Elizabeth right now was like sitting somewhere and saw Randy Savage, wouldn't you think that she'd be like, "Wow, that guy's insane"? But she loved it apparently for a while.
Do you think it was like that behind the scenes too? Because how did she even get out of that marriage if she was so timid and quiet?
Do you think there was anyone on planet Earth that thought that Sergeant Slaughter, General Adnan, and Colonel Mustafa were going to beat Hulk Hogan in the Ultimate Warrior?
I remember losing $20 at school on that.
Oh, you thought the Triangle of Terror had it?
I remember I took $20 out of my grandmother's purse because I was 8 years old. And
that's not why you took it out.
No, but I was 8 years old. Well, I was 8 years old. I wouldn't do it now. I've learned it. But back when I was 8 years old, I was a thief. And I would steal money all the time. And I took $20 out of my grandmother's purse, and I took it to school, and I bet. Because my logic was it was 3-on-2. So I bet that Sergeant Slaughter was, and I lost.
But Sergeant Slaughter was the WWF champion going into WrestleMania 7, but he was never presented as a threat.
Yeah, but
and now he's got the Iron Sheik and General Adnan against the two faces of the company.
No, but my thinking was you have a colonel, and you have a sergeant, you have a general.
Yeah, you sure do.
I mean, that's a lot. He's got a whip.
And
that's a lot to overcome. They're mean, too. Look how mean they are.
And
those hats.
And Desert Storm's been over now.
I think, honestly, I think, have you ever seen someone and they had a hat, like a beret, and it made you real uncomfortable? I think that I was really scared of Sergeant. They needed a team name.
The Triangle of Terror.
Oh, they were the Triangle of Terror.
Yeah.
I slapped 20 on the table for the Triangle of Terror and lost it. And my grandmother...
Did you not check in with me on that one?
My grandmother called the school and asked if I had been throwing cash around, and the school found out that I had been throwing cash around, and I got in a lot of trouble.
Even back then, you loved the numbers. You loved playing the ponies. So, May of 1991. Do you like what's going on here?
I love leading into that SummerSlam. That SummerSlam was a tape that I owned. It was one of the first wrestling tapes that I owned. I watched that SummerSlam 91 over and over and over again.
But you didn't remember they were called the Triangle of Terror.
I did not remember that.
That's a little concerning.
But I did. But
especially since you bet money on them.
Mostly.
I'd at least know what the name of the team was.
Well, at the time, I thought it was a legitimate contest.
Who's to say it's not?
Mostly.
Can you prove it's not?
I can't.
Yeah.
Mostly, I would rewind the wedding and watch the wedding over and over again because I really liked the wedding. The wedding really meant a lot to me. It wasn't an actual copy; it was a recording. It was a recorded tape that I had.
Why did the wedding mean a lot to you?
It's just really nice.
Did you see yourself as Randy Savage?
I always thought. No, I think I just always liked. I always thought Randy Savage and Elizabeth were like a great male and female to be together, like a great couple. I had never seen, up to that point in my life, I had never seen a great couple like that.
In your life or on television or anywhere?
Right.
Okay.
Anywhere.
Not even on sitcoms or anything?
Nothing looked as good as me as that beautiful wedding between Liz and Randy Savage. And I think also, it wasn't just that, it was also at like that WrestleMania where she had come back and watched him in the crowd after they had a fight. and then they made up, and then emotions
Did you shed
high,
did you,
emotions
did
low.
you shed a
Randy
tear
Savage
during
said,
that? Did you shed a
I'm
tear?
tearing up right now thinking about it.
Yeah.
So, that 91 time meant a lot to me, and I like that storyline with those two. I wish it really worked out for them. Maybe their lives would have been better. Maybe they had great lives.
Well, Ryan, from May of 1991.
I'm having a great life.
Any closing remarks?
I'm having a great life.